Hey guys, welcome to my fourth video on this channel. In this video, I'll be teaching you some basic data types which you need to know in order to code in Python. The 8 data types you'll be learning from this video are string or str, bytes, integer or int, float, list, tuple, dictionary or dict, and set. Now, let me tell you what each data type is used for. Number 1, string. Strings are used for storing characters. So for example, hello world is a string. Number 2, bytes. Bytes are just like files. You enter a string into a byte, and then your string gets stored as bytes instead of a string. So for example, when you're sending messages from computer to computer, you will need to send your message over as bytes. So first, you encode your string to form bytes. Then, you send it over to the other computer. From the other computer, you receive the message as bytes, decode it to form a string, and then show it to the user. Number 3, integer. Integers are whole numbers. So for example, 999,999 is an integer. Number 4, float. Floats are decimal numbers. So for example, 9.9 is a float. Number 5, list. Lists contain multiple values. To form a list, you just have to use square brackets. So for example, 6 and 9 inside square brackets separated with commas would make a list. Number 6, tuple. Tuples are formed by parentheses, so 6 and 9 in parentheses separated by commas would make a tuple. Number 7, dictionaries. Dictionaries are formed by curly braces. Dictionaries save you a lot of time because they prevent you from using long if statements. Dictionaries have keys in them that get translated to other values. So for example, you can create a dictionary and say true should be translated to false. After that, you can ask the dictionary, what should I get if this value is true? The dictionary will indeed return false. Number 8, set. Sets are too formed by curly braces. So for example, 6 and 9 inside curly braces separated by commas would make a set. The reason why sets are useful is that if there are any duplicate values in a set, they will automatically get removed. So now you should know, tuples and sets are too used for storing multiple values. Now that you know what these data types are used for, let's learn how to use them. First, you're going to need to open an editor. I have VS Code open, but you can use any editor you prefer. Then you have to open a folder. Choose a folder, click open. And then you need to create a new file. I'm going to call mine main.py. And then the first data type you have to learn is string. So, to create a string in Python, you have to say variable name. I'm going to call my variable var. Let me zoom in. And then you have to say equals, and then single quotes or double quotes is your choice, and then the value. Then you print var to print it out to the console and then run the program, and then you get hello world. To add something to the string, you can say var equals var plus, and then I like the world. And then run the program. Hello world, I like the world. And then, if you want to access a certain character in the string, so like you want to access the 7th character in the string, you can say var, and then the index of the 7th character. So, 6. H is at the index of 0, and E is at the index of 1. L is 2, and then 3, and then 4, 5, 6. If you run the program, you get W. And that's how you create, edit, and just use strings. The next data type you have to learn is bytes. So to create a byte, you have to say var equals b, and then quotes, and then your value. This doesn't mean this is a string. It actually means var is hello world as a string inside bytes. So var is actually bytes. Now if I print var, I'll get b hello world, which actually means hello world inside bytes. Now, if you want to add something to bytes, you have to say var equals var plus, and then another byte, or another byte value. Now if I run the program, I'll get b hello world, which means hello world as a string inside bytes. This is how you create and edit bytes. The next data type you have to learn is integer. To create an integer, you have to say var equals and then an integer value. Now if I print var, I'll get 9 because 9 is an integer value. To add to the integer, you have to say var equals var plus and then an integer value. Now if I run the program, I'll get 10 because 9 plus 1 is 10. To take away from the integer, you have to say var equals var minus and then an integer value. Now if I run the program, I'll get 8 because 9 minus 1 is 8. This is how you create and edit integers. The next data type you have to learn is float. To create a float, you have to say var equals and then a decimal number. Now if I print var, I'll get 9.1 because 9.1 is a decimal number. To add something to a float, you have to say var equals var plus, and then you can either put in an integer or a float. Now if I print var, I'll get 10.1 because 9.1 plus 1 is 10.1. To take away from a float, you have to say var equals var minus, and then you can either put in a float or an integer. Now if I run the program, I'll get 8.0 because 9.1 minus 1.1 is 8. This is how you create and edit floats. The next data type you have to learn is list. To create a list, you have to say var equals square brackets and then the values that you want the list to contain. Now if I print var, I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because that's a list. To add something to a list, you have to say var.append and then the value that you want to add to the list. Now if I run the program, I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 because I just added 1 to the list. To remove a value from a list, you have to say var.pop and then the index of the value in the list that you want to remove. Now if I run the program, I'll get 1, 2, 4, 5 because I just removed 3 from the list. To access a certain value in the list, you have to say var square brackets and then the index of the value that you want to access. Now if I print it, I'll get 1 because 1 is at the index of 0 in this list. This is how you create, edit, and access values from lists. The next data type you have to learn is tuple. To create a tuple, you have to say var equals parentheses and then the values that you want the tuple to contain. Now if I print var, I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because that's a tuple. Why tuples are special is that you can't actually edit a tuple. The only way to edit a tuple is by overwriting it. So to access a value in a tuple, you have to say var square brackets and then the index of the value that you want to access. Now I get 3 because 3 is at the second index in the tuple. This is how you create and access values from a tuple. The next data type you have to learn is dictionary. To create a dictionary, you have to say var equals curly braces, key, colon, and then the translation for the key. A key in a dictionary is a value that should be translated to another value. Now if I print var, I'll get this dictionary because this is the dictionary I created. To add something to a dictionary, you have to say var square brackets key equals and then the translation for the key. Now if I run the program, I'll get true, false, false, 1 because I just added this key to the dictionary. To delete a key from a dictionary, you have to say del var square brackets and then the key in the dictionary that you want to delete. Now if I run the program, I'll get an empty dictionary because I deleted the only key in this dictionary. To have a dictionary translate something for you, you have to say var square brackets and then the value that you want to translate. Now if I run the program, I'll get false because in this dictionary I said true should be translated to false. If I put in something that's not a key in the dictionary, I'll get an error called a key error because false is not a key in this dictionary. This is how you create, edit, and access values from dictionaries. The next data type you have to learn is set. To create a set, you have to say var equals curly braces and then the values that you want the set to contain. Now if I print var, I'll get the set that I just created. Now you can't delete or add values to a set. You can't access values from them either. But sets are still special because sets automatically delete duplicate values from themselves. If I add a duplicate 5 here and run the program again, I still get 1 5 here because this duplicate 5 was deleted. I usually use sets for stuff like deleting duplicate values from user inputs, but I can't teach you that stuff yet because you're still learning basic data types. So this is how you create and just use sets. And guys, here's a bonus data type that you might not use yet, but is easy to learn. It's called Boolean. Booleans are just true and false. So when you use true and false in Python, it means you're using Booleans. If you want to learn more about Booleans, all you have to do is keep watching. To create a Boolean, you have to say var equals, and then you can either put in true or false. Now if I print var, I'll get true, because I just assigned var to true. Now you might know that in some languages, instead of true and false, there's 1 and 0. In Python, to get the integer form of a Boolean, you have to say var equals int, and then the Boolean value. What happens here is this Boolean value gets converted into an integer. Now if I run the program, I'll get 1 because true and 1 are the same. Now if I change this to false and run the program, I'll get 0 because false is the same as 0. This is how you use Booleans. Okay guys, that was it for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any questions or comments. I will happily explain if you have any questions. Also be sure to watch the next video and thanks for watching.